Hey, what's up guys? I'm about to start my next project here. So we have a 2014 Mustang V6, 200,000 miles, still actually running strong on the factory 3.7. Bone stock. Did put a grill in it just because the factory one looks a little rough and cheap, you know, RTR replica, no lights or anything. And we're going to start the first stage of this project today. Going to do a full BMR K-member, tubular radiator support, reinforcements, QA1 Coilovers. Gonna go and do brakes and wheel bearings. Everything in the front end will be 100% new. And this is gonna set us up for our engine swap. So plans for this car is we're going to do a twin turbo LS with a ZF 8-speed, 8 HP 70 is what we're looking at. Would like to get a 90, but I think from a cost perspective, going to see what the 8 HP 70 will take first. We're going to run the entire car off a MaxxECU Pro. Same thing I got in the Turbo Corvette build, but want to experiment with the automatic transmission control because that's going to open up a couple options in the future for some swaps we're looking at, some resta mods and stuff. So yeah, first thing we're going to do is I have a engine hoist here. We picked this up when we were doing a BMW M5 actually. That V10 had to have the rod bearings replaced. It was a known factory issue. Picked this thing up from Harbor Freight, worked like a champ, just bridges the strut towers, allows you to hook up to the engine, and I think we're going to experiment with that and make it a little easier to drop that K-member instead of trying to wedge stuff in place, make it a little safer. So yeah, going to get this thing all hooked up, get the wheels off it, and not going to do maybe a full installation on the K-member and coilover since that's pretty well documented already. But do want to go underneath and kind of show what it looks like with the factory radiator support and K-member, and then of course after the tubular frame is installed. Hoping this is going to free up a lot of additional real estate for the turbo piping, and also reduce weight. So I put this thing on the scale, just the cat scale local, and it's about a little over 3,500 pounds. It was with a full tank of gas. Nothing removed, even has the spare tire in it. So gonna strip out a couple things from the interior, do some minor weight reduction, the BMR stuff of course, and then possibly looking at a tube frame front clip. So gonna start with this, see what kind of space it opens up, go from there, and kind of plan out the next steps after that. Alright, so got everything torn apart here. Got the engine support holding this up so we can drop the K-member. Just looped it around the motor mounts on each side, should hold it no problem. So at the bottom we remove the fender liners, struts, everything just to give a little more access. See the factory K-member here and radiator support. Looks like it also has a tie brace, kind of what BMR provided as well, and also a rearward bar for the A-arm support. So it's a one-for-one from a design perspective, but definitely frees up a lot more space. I think it saves about 80 pounds is what they said on the front of the nose. So gonna start dropping this and get the new one in there. Alright, got the factory K-member out. Didn't put it on a scale, but I would say the weight savings is definitely significant. Got to transfer the steering rack over, and then it also came with polyurethane mounts for the engine. So start putting all that together. I think I'll do the A-arms in the car just to reduce the weight we gotta lift. But looking under here, with the K-member removed, tons of room for activities. So gonna get that in, so the motor is not hanging from these chains any longer, and then we'll do the radiator support next. But this definitely looks like it's gonna free up a lot more room underneath. Alright, K-member and radiator support installed. Here's the factory pieces. You can see they're pretty chunky, definitely limited access over by the starter and the sides. Got the QA1 Coilovers on as well. So from a side axis perspective, a lot more freedom. Coming up underneath, did the BMR connection that ties the radiator support to the K-member. If we do tube frame the front end, I'm going to tie this into it just to give it a little more strength. But yeah, should free up a fair amount of room for exhaust if we want to plumb it back from the turbos, if we want to put them up in the front, and just generally a lot easier to work on. And then up here, the QA1s had the caster camber plates built in, double adjustable rebound and compression. So should be able to get it dialed in. Went with the 150 pound-per-inch springs, so fairly soft spring. Don't know if these are going to be adjusted at the right height yet. With the soft spring rate, give it about 14 millimeters of preload. Gonna drop it down here, waiting on them to ship me the locking collars for the sway bar links, which will mount right here. Tie into the sway bar on the back. They missed those, but they're shipping them out, so I have those Monday and get this thing back together. Put it on the ground, adjust the ride height, and see how it does. Alright guys, got my rings in from QA1 so that I could tighten up the sway bar mount, and got the whole thing together, including the brakes. Just went through and finished tightening everything up. Kind of eyeballed the alignment as far as caster camber and tone is concerned. I'll take it to an alignment shop to get it knocked out, but just looking underneath, here's the QA1 Coilovers installed. You can see it has the sway bar mount integrated. Pretty nice piece actually, so I had to replace the end links anyway, so that came with it, which was good. You can just see the clearance and everything with hubs back on, brakes in place. Sorry guys, had some issues with the last video when I was going and putting it together, so just wanted to capture this again, and honestly it's just as well. I had to come back and set more preload on these. Currently about 30%, so I think they're 14-inch long, and I have them set at about 9 3/4. 150 pound per inch. This is just going to be a little bit of a game without you know, knowing the weight of the new engine and everything, and I'm gonna have to adjust it again. So just wanted to get it set as a baseline so that I can go get it aligned, see how these things do, and get it on the street. So a couple things I want to just point out is kind of the next steps here. Looking at a tube frame front end, which I think actually cuts right here in front of the strut tower, and then goes forward. Can't remember the name of the company, but I'll throw a link in the video for it. Looks like a nice piece, just don't know if I need it at this point, at least for the kind of first pass at this. Worst case, I think what we're gonna do is cut through right here, just to free up a little more space for the cold side. Really depends on where we put the turbos. Currently thinking about doing top mounts. And the nice thing is with this K-member, you just have a lot more space to work down there. You can see light through it. I think it's going to make everything a little easier. Obviously going to have to move the ECU. We're going to MaxxECU anyway, so that'll get removed. Power distribution box, probably just going to do from scratch. Move the battery in the back. So next steps here before we pull the engine and transmission out, it's probably just going to be starting to plan around that. Kind of want to keep it running as long as possible. Just before it... you know, has no engine and transmission in it, and I have to pull it around with something in and out of the garage or move it to the other shop. So, but yeah, overall this went pretty well, and I think it's gonna set us up pretty nicely. So as soon as I get these things puzzled out, I'll put kind of the dimensions and everything. If you're looking at these for your car, of course it will matter which drive line you have. I think the 3.7 is probably a good bit lighter than the 5.0. So if you have a V8 car and you're running this setup, you know, you'll have to kind of do the math or just figure out the delta in the engine and increase the preload there. But driving around, even with these kind of on the verge of bottoming out, drives pretty good. I'll do another part of this driving impressions. There is a lot of NVH as expected with, you know, pretty much solid motor mounts, if you can see them. Does have, I think, a Delrin with a large washer. But a lot of noise in here, so I don't think I would personally run this on a car I'm driving on the street a lot. But for a street strip car like this, should be tolerable, and you have a lot more direct feeling. So yeah, I'm gonna get the wheels back on, figure out the ride height. These are separately adjustable, so you know you have the preload up here, and then down here, of course, you have where it interfaces with the hub, and that threads in. So I think I'm gonna drop it as is, and if I do have to change it, I can always thread the shock down in there, but then of course I'm gonna have to move up the strut, or not the strut, the sway bar links. So we're gonna see how it sits as is and then go from there. All right guys, got it back on the ground. I'll put the adjustments I left the shocks at and up on the page here. And I still don't know for sure if it's got enough preload, but it looks like the ride height sits better. It's got about 3 inches right now of preload, and it's not exactly a 1-to-1 with the angle of everything, so it's hard to know just based on the axle weight and everything where it needs to sit. But I think this is at least good enough to go to the alignment shop within a reason about where I want it to sit. So we'll play around with it later if needed, but yeah, let's take it for a drive and just kind of show how the K member impacts it. A lot of NVH, but won't matter as much for this car. If this is something you're considering for a daily driver though, might be a factor you want to think about. And I don't know if you can hear it on the camera right now. This is bone stock exhaust and everything. It's not exhaust you're hearing. That's the engine and the motor mounts, and maybe they'll break in a little bit over time. I'll give an update in the next video and everything after I've driven around some more. See if it settles in, but yeah, we'll take this for a drive so you can kind of see what it sounds like on the road and see how the shocks perform, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, I'll do a little pull here so you can see just how the engine sounds with these mounts. So I don't know how much of that came through on the camera, but a lot of vibration. So we'll see if that changes when these things break in. But yeah, for a street car, I wouldn't want to live with this every day. I've learned my lesson on other builds about polyurethane or solid motor mounts. It makes such a difference. You can get kind of higher durometer rubber mounts that are nice middle ground, which if this was going to be more of a street car, I'd have probably figured out a solution. But for a drag car, I think that's gonna keep everything tight. I will say just the pedal feel when you're pulling off, it is noticeably crisper. You don't realize just how much of the drivetrain slop is, I guess, absorbed by the motor mounts, and that is gone, which is definitely a plus. But yeah, overall it seems like it's driving pretty good for eyeball alignment. I'll bring it to the shop probably next week. Go ahead and get it set up so it's one less thing to worry about on the front, and then gonna start looking at the rear end suspension. Definitely some control arms and everything, welding on some brackets, welding the axle tubes up, and I'll ultimately do a C-clip eliminator kit. So I'll do a full video on that. And as far as the next steps in the interior, gonna start looking at what to do for the roll cage. I'd like to leave the full dash, full door panels, probably leave the front speakers, and do some type of Android radio that works with M-Dash. So at least have 2 speakers on the radio, keep everything else pretty gutted in the back, function over form in this case. But yeah, we'll capture it on the next couple videos. So yeah, follow along, and we'll try to document the best we can this entire build. So yeah, leave me a comment or question if you have anything else you want to see, and we'll capture it moving forward. Thanks, guys.